around the Hattiesburg area saw wind gusts of 114 miles per hour.
This evening, firefighters battled a grass fire in the community of Pocahontas. Hinds County and Pocahontas volunteer fire departments were on the scene for several hours battling the fire. AMR was on scene or standby. There were no reported injuries as a result of the fire. It has been 10 years since Hurricane Katrina came barreling ashore on the Gulf Coast, leaving behind death and destruction. The Category 3 storm wiped out homes, businesses, and the seafood industry. It killed 238 people in Mississippi. Former Governor Haley Barbour, who was in office when the huge hurricane hit, praised first responders who helped save lives. In the years since the storm, close to 1 million volunteers from across the nation pitched in to help coastal residents recover.
You don't celebrate a disaster, but we sure should celebrate the great job these people do and recognize the great people they are.
It's a great testimony to the character of the American people for people to come to help total strangers.
Is the Mississippi coast back?
It is back. It's bigger and better and more beautiful than ever.
Celebrations poured into the streets of New Orleans today to mark a decade since Katrina flooded the Big Easy that left the Crescent City very uneasy. Tonight, ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has more.
From somber...
As we gather here today, our hearts are grieving. Our hearts are heavy.
...to celebratory. Today, the Gulf Coast reflecting upon the devastation of Hurricane Katrina while praising the progress that's been made in the decades since.
Because at the end of the day, this is really a story of resurrection and redemption. It's a story about tragedy to triumph.
10 years ago today, the storm, followed by the levee breaches, left 80% of New Orleans underwater and throughout the Gulf Coast killed more than 1,800 people. Today, those lives honored, along with the survivors who returned here to rebuild, bringing a boom in business, revitalized communities, and a resounding sense of pride in all the Crescent City has overcome.
And today, former President Bill Clinton is here speaking at an anniversary event, joining a list of dignitaries who traveled here this week to praise this city's resilience. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, New Orleans.
Back here in the metro, Hurricane Katrina left many in Jackson scrambling for gas after the pumps dried up. ABC's WAPT's Allie Ware takes a look back.
Prices for gas during Hurricane Katrina skyrocketed for the first time to over $2. And that's for the stations who actually had gasoline in their pumps.
I got enough to make it home, but I'm trying to get to Vicksburg. My family has lights there.
The Jackson mayor during the storm worked 24/7 to get power and gas to those in Jackson and the thousands that were driving through.
So we went to Madison County and got a generator. Then we had another generator brought from around the corner. We got a couple of electricians that hooked them into the meter in there, and we've got all the pumps going, and I'm just happy.
With so many waiting to get into a gas station and very little shipments of gas, the mayor was forced to put a limit at the pumps.
I'm going to restrict the gas to 20 gallons.
It's a sight many say they can never forget. Most of Jackson left with no power and a few ways to fill tanks, and Katrina survivors stranded on the sides of roads, desperate and willing to pay any price for gas to get to their loved ones.
And we might as just, well, face reality. Jackson has changed.
And we're marking the anniversary of the storm with an hour-long special, Hurricane Katrina, 10 years later. It will air tomorrow at 6 p.m. right here on 16 WAPT. Pro golfer John Daly collapsed while golfing in Madison County today. According to one source, the 49-year-old two-time major champion was taken to Baptist Hospital for tests tonight. Doctors were checking his vital signs. A witness said Daly was having trouble breathing, and because of the heat. Temperatures in the metro nearly 90 degrees today. Daly was playing in a tournament at Deerfield Golf Club in Canton when he became ill. Tonight, Kosciuszko police searching for a man who was caught on camera trying to break into a gun shop. It happened around 5 this morning. The man is seen trying to enter Central Mississippi Firearms on Highway 35. Police say he eventually ran off after he set off the store security system. If you recognize this man, call Kosciuszko police. Tonight, a Texas deputy gunned down at the pump. Tonight, we now have new photos of the man who police say killed that officer in cold blood.
This is 30-year-old Shannon J. Miles, just arrested and charged with capital murder in the death of Deputy Darren Goforth.
We have not been able to extract any details regarding a motive at this point. As far as we know, Deputy Goforth had no previous contact with the suspect, and it appears at the outset to be clearly unprovoked.
The 47-year-old deputy was filling his patrol car with gas last night when authorities say Miles approached him from behind, shot him several times, then got away in a red Ford truck without saying a word.
Our assumption is that he was a target because he wore a uniform.
About 6 hours after the shooting, deputies took Miles in for questioning. Then, more than 12 hours later, Eyewitness News was there as deputies removed a cooler from the home and searched that red truck. Soon afterward, Miles was arrested.
The weapon was recovered, and ballistics test indicated is a match.
Miles has a long criminal record going back over the past 10 years since he was 20. Some of his past arrests include resisting arrest, trespassing, and disorderly conduct with a gun.
It gives us some peace knowing that this individual is no longer at large and that he wasn't somebody that would be targeting the rest of the community.
Tonight, Deputy Goforth is survived by his wife, a school teacher, and 2 children, ages 12 and 5. It's been 60 years since Emmett Till was murdered in a small Mississippi town. The Chicago teen was visiting family in the Delta in 1955 when someone kidnapped him. They accused him of whistling at a white woman at a grocery store. 3 days later, police found the 14-year-old boy's body in the Tallahatchie River. He had been beaten and shot in the head. Today, the city of Jackson and Till's relatives remembered him with a parade in his memory.
We want people to understand what happened back then, and we're trying to connect the past with the present and the future. And so we don't want to repeat those ugly parts of our past history. And when people remember, and we want them to begin with Emmett Till's story.
Till's attackers were acquitted by an all-white jury. They later confessed during an interview, but they were never retried. The annual Byram Swinging Bridge Festival just wrapped up. The event was held at the Jackson Dragway on Sywell Road. It featured entertainment for both adults and children with everything from games, rides, arts and crafts, car shows, and musical entertainment. There was a 5K earlier in the day and also vendors and plenty of food options.